as we're talking about pivoting here, I want to talk about transition planning through uncertainty. And we definitely have a good amount of uncertainty with the election and over the next few years that really affects kind of your future plans and the future exit plans. So I want to talk a little bit about the final pivot, since we're talking about pivot, one that will eventually transition you out of your business. Many unfortunately think that this is just something they will only need to think about when they're ready to leave their business. If you don't see my hands, I'm actually putting air quotes around the ready to leave their business. Usually that's when people give us a call at ACQUIVEST, is when they think they're ready to leave the business. And that's honestly just too late to really be able to do anything as far as planning. So I want you to think of your final pivot as really just the action. It's just the exit. The true pivot really happens several years earlier when you put yourself on the path to a successful exit. So as you see from my title, my focus is more on the planning other than just the exit from the business. So, I'd like to work with owners 3, 5, 10 years before your brain actually says, I'm done and ready to go. Often successful transitions take this long to children or to key employees. So transition planning through uncertainty. There's a lot of headwinds right now that have kind of been created with this current presidential election and congressional election that really could have a material impact on anyone operating a business, and especially somebody looking to sell their business over the next 4 years. So some of the proposals that we've heard, I'll go ahead and change the slide, I believe. There we go. So some of the proposals that we've heard, potentially to increase the long-term capital gains from 20% up to 39.6%. Now, if you're selling a business, this means you need to increase the value of your company by over 32% to achieve the same proceeds that you would have achieved if this didn't go into effect. So that's a serious impact on your business. There's also some talk of increasing the top federal income tax rate. So if you were thinking you'd counter the long-term capital gains increase by pulling more profits out of your company now, you may need to rethink that as well if you're in that top federal income tax bracket. A third one that a lot of people don't think about is the lifetime estate tax exemption. They're looking to decrease that going forward. Right now, it's very high. It's actually 11.7 million in 2021. President Trump did put in some his tax plan increases a few years ago. Honestly, from an exit planning perspective, that's actually pretty high. There's a lot, I can be a lot more creative when that's lower. When it's so high, it's pretty easy to transfer to your kids. So 11.7 is pretty high. They're probably going to bring that back down again. In 2000, when I was exiting from my business, it was 675,000. So we had to be much more creative. Some proposals on the table are either to take it back down to President Obama's level, about 5 million, or even going down to 3.5 million with a 77% tax rate. So some serious implications there if that changes, to your actual exit from your business and what you can transfer to your children or to anybody. Also, they've been looking to change some of the 1031 exchange rules. So for real estate investors, they use this to move gains from one investment to another tax-free. So changes like that could seriously affect where you invest your money. So now that I've scared you with this data, let me just say this. M&A, investment banks, they like a divided government. And it seems like that's the direction we're going, at least as of today, with a Democratic president and your Republican Senate. So M&A and investment firms love, I can't say it a better way, they love bureaucratic gridlock between Republicans and Democrats because it provides a more stable economic and regulatory environment that deal-making needs. A quote here I have up on the screen from Carrie Kochman, the co-head of global M&A at Citigroup, says corporate leaders in markets like stability. Gridlock, in its own way, can be seen as a stabilizer, as we saw during the Obama administration. As of really the third quarter, deal volume was understandably down by like 32%. Not a lot of transactions were happening, but we're seeing an uptick again now in the third quarter and through the end of the year. So deals are happening again, sales are happening of businesses. So what we're seeing right now is that it's really an exit planning opportunity, and not the uncertainty in the market, the headwinds in the market will give people the opportunity to plan, hopefully over the next couple of years, for what they want to do with their company. The key tenets of effective transition planning are to maximize the value and sellability of your company as you grow it. And a lot of you right now are in the pivots you're taking today are more for, am I building a valuable and sellable company? And keep that in mind. You also want to minimize the risk that you won't successfully transition from your business and produce the income, wealth that you need for retirement. And thirdly is to maintain control throughout the entire process. So an exit planning process can take, again, 3, 5, 10 years, especially if you're transferring to a key employee or to your children. You want to maintain control through that process. So being in this exit planning world, we see a lot of exits. And a lot of this isn't what most business owners expect. Most business owners think that pretty much you're going to, when they're ready to go, they're going to go to a business broker and a third party will come along and buy their business and give them all the money they need. Realistically, when owners do plan, what we see is about 41% of the transactions are to key employees, co-owners, or ESOPs, employee stock ownership plans. 24% are to children. 29% are to third parties, and the other 6% are other potentially liquidation if that's what the owner chooses to do. When they don't plan, this is what we see. About 12% go to, 8% go to children, about 12% go to key employees, co-owners, 35% is to a third party and often fire sale prices, and unfortunately 45% is liquidation, death. You really can't find a buyer for the business. You haven't built a sellable business. So as you pivot today, and in these discussions here, really consider why you are pivoting and whether this pivot is making you a more valuable company in the eyes of a future acquirer, or just making you a little more money today. So really, no matter what stage you're currently at with your company, just keep that future exit in mind.